Fragments. What makes a sentence? A sentence expresses a complete thought. It has a subject and a predicate. A fragment is an incomplete sentence. It's a piece of a sentence that has become disconnected from the main clause. Two words can be a complete sentence. In fact, some of the most powerful sentences in the world are only two words. I do. The two parts of a two-word sentence are a noun or a pronoun and a verb. All you need to do to prove that you have a basic two-word sentence is use the noun and verb proofs. To prove a noun, you put the word into every blank in this phrase. A dog, the dog, some dogs. To prove a verb, you put the word into every blank in this phrase. I jump, you jump, he jumps. Try out this two-word sentence with me. Will you please read the two-word sentence?
Boys laugh.
Great. Is the second word a verb?
Yippers.
Can you prove it?
I laugh, you laugh, he laughs.
Perfect. Is the first word a noun?
It sure is.
Can you prove that?
A boys, the boys, some boys.
It works perfectly in at least one of those, so it's definitely a noun, right?
Right.
Well, that's a perfect little two-word sentence. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Many people aren't absolutely positive about what makes a complete, correctly written sentence. Here's one step you can take to make sure that you have a real sentence between the capital and the period. We are going to give the words the PS test. Imagine someone walking up to you and saying the sentence right out of the blue. You'd listen to it, and you see whether they made a statement that you understand. Okay, David, I'm going to ask you to look somewhere else. Then, out of the clear blue, I'm going to say, Psst, David. Then you look me right in the eyes and say, what? And no matter what else happens, don't say anything else. Ready to try it?
Sure.
David, practice this with me. Look away. Psst, David.
What?
In the mall. Did I tell him something? No, that wasn't a statement. Let's do another one. Psst, David.
What?
There was a dog. Did I tell him something? Yes, I did. That was a statement. Let's do another one. Psst, David.
What?
Anytime it rains. Did I tell him something? No, that's the psst test. And from now on, and for the rest of the year, we can use this to try out sentences to see whether they make a statement. There is one way to see if a sentence is really a fragment. How do you know if it's really a fragment? Here is one way to know. All sentences have at least one verb. So, we look for a verb. If there's no verb, it can't be a sentence. If there's no verb, it's absolutely a fragment, just a part of a sentence. And how do we prove a verb? We use this verb proof. I blank, you blank, he blanks. We put the same word in all three blanks and listen. If at least one of the three words makes sense, then we have a verb. Adrian, will you try this out with me?
Sure.
Read me the first sentence, please.
I saw the cat.
Perfect. Is there a verb?
Yes, saw.
Prove that saw is a verb, please.
I saw, you saw, he saws.
That's right. Saw is a verb. It worked in at least one of those three blanks. Please read me the second sentence.
In the yard.
Is there a verb in that sentence? Let's try the proof on all the words.
Okay, but...
I'll help. I in, you in, he ins. That's not a verb, right?
Right.
I the, you the, he thes. Nope, What about yard? Want to try that one?
I yard, you yard, he yards. Nope, it's not a verb.
That's right. That sentence has no verb. It can't possibly be a sentence. Great job! It was the smallest hesitation in time, but Silver knew what she had to do. Notice how in this quote from Tangleweck by Janet Winterson that she joins two sentences. There are two ways to join sentences. Let's have a look at them. The first way is to use and or another one of our coordinating conjunctions. Do you remember our fanboys? For and nor, but, or, yet, so? Any of these conjunctions would work. Remember, to join two complete sentences, you can use a comma and one of your fanboys. Another way to join sentences is to use a semicolon. Just remember that whatever is on either side of this semicolon should be a complete sentence. When we have two or more sentences, we have to look at what joins them. There are three ways to connect sentences together correctly. What are they? And or one of the other conjunctions with a comma, a semicolon, or go ahead and break them into two separate sentences. This isn't technically joining the sentences into one sentence, but it is an option. Adrian, will you try this conversation out with me?
Sure.
Will you please read the example sentence?
We had dinner. It was good.
How many statements did you hear?
2.
How are they joined?
Right now, with nothing.
What is one way we could fix this?
By adding a word like and.
Let's hear that.
We had dinner. It was good.
Okay, great. What's another way we could fix that?
With a semicolon.
Read it that way, please.
We had dinner. It was good.
Okay, and the third way?
To break it into two sentences. We had dinner. It was good.
So, if you were the author of this, which way would you choose?
I'd have to go with a semicolon.
Great! When we have two or more sentences, we have to look at what joins them. Sometimes people join sentences incorrectly, using strategies considered wrong, substandard, and illegal in the grammar world. What are these two ways? The first way is with thin air, just running them together with nothing but thin air between them. The second way is by slapping a comma between the two sentences. We call this a comma splice. Both of these ways result in what are called run-on sentences. Take a look at this conversation between Gavin and his mother. Tell me the two sentences that are in your paper.
Sam is here. Julian is not.
What's one wrong way to join them?
With thin air.
And how would that sound?
Sam is here. Julian is not.
Nothing is there but thin air. What's another wrong way to join those sentences?
With a comma.
Exactly. Can you join two sentences with just a comma?
Never, never, never.
Remember, just slapping a comma between two sentences is always wrong. It creates a comma splice. Now that you know the three parts of the sentence ringer, we can put them together to check any sentence, from capital to period. First question. Does it make a statement? Does it pass the ps test? Is there a verb in it? I jump, you jump, he jumps. If the sentence doesn't pass the first two questions, it's definitely a fragment and needs to be fixed. The third question is, if there is more than one sentence, how are they joined? Did the writer use a comma and one of our coordinating conjunctions? Or did the writer add a semicolon? If it doesn't pass the third, it's a run-on sentence and needs to be fixed. Let's take a look at the example sentence. We can check all three parts of the sentence ringer on this sentence to make sure it's not a fragment or a run-on sentence. Let's go ahead and try this sentence ringer out. Will you please read me the sentence?
We went home.
Does it make a statement?
It does.
Can you prove that?
David,
What?
we went home.
Did you tell him something?
I sure did.
Okay, next. Does it have a verb?
It does. Home.
Can you prove it?
I home, you home, he homes. That's not a verb. Went?
Prove it.
I went, you went, he wents.
It's a verb. It worked in two of those sentences. What's last? Is it more than one statement?
Nope, just one.
Then it's a correct sentence. Good. As the wheels of the plane bumped against the ground, the lone passenger's fingers gripped the armrest. Rather than joining these two sentences together exactly as they were originally written, writers sometimes see a better way to combine them. One of the most useful ways to join sentences is to awoobify them. Awoobis is an acronym for these words: after, although, as, when, where, while, until, because, if, since. If you add an awoobis to a sentence, it will become a fragment. It would fail the ps test. You have to combine two complete sentences for an awoobis to work. Adrian, will you try out the awoobified sentence with me?
Sure.
Will you read the first sentence?
It rained. We went inside.
Okay, now will you read the bottom sentence?
When it rained, we went inside.
Great. Which word is the awoobis?
When?
Yes. If you took it off, what would you have?
Two sentences, joined with a comma.
Can you join two sentences with a comma?
Never, never, never.
But after the awoobified sentence, is it okay to put a comma?
It is, because they are not two complete sentences anymore. It's one complete sentence and one that has been awoobified into a fragment.
Great. Whenever you take a multiple choice assessment, you can use the sentence ringer to check each answer choice. Ask yourself these questions. Does it make a statement? Use the PS test. Is there a verb? If there is more than one complete sentence, think about how they are joined. If it's joined using a period and then a new complete sentence, that's correct. Did they use a comma and one of our fanboys? That's correct. Did they use a semicolon? That's also correct. Or did they use an awoobis word to create a complex sentence? All of those are correct ways to join two complete sentences. If they just use thin air, that's a run-on. If they stick a comma in the middle, that creates a comma splice. We know those can't be right answers.